Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I am really excited to bring to you Heather Ferrari. And let me tell you about Heather. She is a seasoned business, sales, and leadership coach who brings a wealth of experience to the table. Growing up in her dad's restaurant, she learned the ropes of small business ownership from the ripe young age of 8 years old. Since then, she's worn many hats, from owning businesses of her own to navigating the corporate landscape. With over 25 years of experience in sales and business ownership, she's seen it all. But here's what she says sets her apart. She's not just here to talk about theory. She's here to share what's working in the real world, both for herself and for her clients. Her passion lies in helping small businesses, sales professionals, and corporate leaders grow their revenue at least 50%, all without sacrificing their personal lives. Through the years of trial, error, and triumph, Heather has joined and has honed her strategies that work. And now she's here to pass on that knowledge to you. So whether it's through one-on-one coaching or sharing insights on this podcast, her mission is simple. It's to empower you to achieve your goals while living a fulfilling life. So today we're going to talk about some success stories, insights from business coaches. So please join me in welcoming my guest, Heather Ferrari. Heather,
Thank you.
we're going to have such a great conversation.
I know, Vicki, we've already been chatting for a few minutes, and I'm not crying. That was so beautifully said. We talked about, I have allergies a little bit. But thank you so much for that great intro. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you pat away as you need to.
Thank you.
So we always start with two easy questions. The first is, where do you call home? Where do you live now? And then what is your backstory? I gave all those accolades of where you were, but, share a little bit about that 8-year-old and what has inspired you to do what you do today. So where do you call home?
Utah, great state of Utah. I was born and raised here, but I've also lived in Seattle. I've lived in Nevada. So I guess more of like the Great West, out west here, is where I reside. And, working in small business has its challenges as a kid, but it also has, you take for granted what you're actually learning at, such a young age, but later in your life, you're super thankful and you realize that it was passed on from generations. So my dad's owned a business for 50, well, he just celebrated 52 years, but his dad owned a business before that. He started the local grocery market in a smaller town in Utah. And then so my great grandfather also ran a business and he came over from Europe. And so I think that as the generations have flown, I've been able to, or gone by, like that has also transitioned down to me. And my daughter actually is helping me in my business, and she'll go help my dad at the restaurant every once in a while as well, because my dad's still there. He still loves working, and he's 77, and he continues to show up for people that have worked there. For some people at his restaurant, his help has been there for 30 years. Like they love working for him. And so a lot of things that I've learned about helping keep and retain people. And, I've obviously had such a great example in my life to do that. And then obviously doing it myself as well with people that I've hired, trained, coached up, and just being able to have that exposure. But, in your teenage years, working for your parents, I got called in to work on my senior prom, so my hair's all done and like I'm like ready to go. And again, as a kid, you're like throwing a tantrum, but it was the last resort. My dad didn't want to do that to me, but I literally
Yeah.
was the last resort. You know what I mean? And so I think that there are some of those things that you realize how hard your family works too. To keep things afloat and to keep
Yeah.
things going. And my dad ran several businesses. Actually, one of them was a travel agency. And so as time progressed, and some of those went under, some of the businesses that he started went under. So I know what that looks like from a distance. I wasn't obviously a part of that, but my sister worked in that travel agency. And so when they closed that, that impacted her life as well. And so I've kind of seen businesses that are successful and some that haven't made it as a kid. I think my dad closed the travel agency when I was 20, maybe. So fairly, young to see that. But
Yeah.
yeah, so growing up in small businesses has been amazing. It had challenges, but I'm one of 7 kids as well. So I got to work with my brothers and sisters. And so that was awesome. Like we just have such a great bond. And I think it was because we had to figure it out together a lot of the time. So it was amazing.
It's funny. I'm also one of 7, but I'm
Oh,
second
oh,
in line.
I'm the third. So I guess I'm the
Yeah.
middle person. If
Yeah.
you like do, I guess one middle and a half, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know how that works.
We have 2 girls, then 3 boys, then a girl, and then another boy.
So
That's
ours,
right.
my brother, poor guy, he was surrounded by 4 girls. So my oldest is a girl's girl, boy, girl, 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 2 boys. So
It's a little
the
different.
so we made him
Yeah.
a good husband. Let's just say that because he was surrounded by all of us.
Yeah, all my brothers cook and take care of cleaning the house too. That's very interesting. But it was interesting because I had 4 brothers. When I got pregnant with both my kids, I planned both of them, and I didn't want to have a boy. I said, God, I already did this. So God said, okay, you can have 2 girls. And then he just played a joke on me and he gave me 2 grandsons.
Oh my gosh, he's like, I'm gonna get you anyways. You were good at
But
raising
it's
boys.
yeah, but it's good because grandparents are the best best gig there is here. So
Heck
awesome.
yeah.
All right, so let's get into this some insights from business coaches. So what really you really touched on how you were impacted by various types of businesses and entrepreneurial type of things. But what set you to say, you know what? I've got all of this knowledge. I should be a coach for for people. What is your unique approach that makes you really help entrepreneurs?
Um, I don't know. I guess when they ask you to, like when you're little, right? Like, what do you want to be? Like, I wasn't ever like, I want to be a coach, right? Like,
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
even know
yeah.
that existed until I was running my own business and really failing at it. Like, I was a mess and I was successful. I was a successful mess. I was a hot mess. Like that honestly is when I got to coach myself. And I think there is such a power in having somebody that can look inside your business from a different perspective, a different lens.
Mhm.
I don't work with just one type of business. And there are coaches that are like, I only work in this business. And I choose to work with multiple businesses because they bring such value to me. I get to learn a new industry. It's
Mhm.
such a great way for me to gain another skill in an industry. But a lot of it cross contaminates, I guess, or like it goes it flows both ways.
Yeah.
You always have to sell a product or you're not going to be successful. And so sales and leadership, you have teams, you're going to grow. Like, so a lot of it doesn't matter really the industry as much as it does the skill that you're trying to grow and develop. And I
Mhm.
think because I've started and ran my own business twice, um, And then I retired like for a couple years to be a mother, and I absolutely gave up everything. So titles and accolades and like stripped of it all to do have one of the best titles, right? And
Yes.
and we were so blessed. We just have one beautiful daughter, and she was such a blessing to us because we weren't supposed to have kids. And so I just really wanted to capture that as well. And I love that I grew a business to where I could walk away from it.
Yeah.
So to help other people, I think has always been a passion because of the way I was also brought up, right? I see my dad. My dad served on the city council for 12 years. He was involved in our, getting our area police presence because it wasn't there. And there was a lot of gang violence that was happening. And, just
Wow.
seeing my dad like go where it's terrifying, and like stand up for these things. Like, I think that was also part of me helping people, was just watching through him and being like, there is a better way.
Yeah.
I want to help people see that just because it's the way it's always been done, we kind of chatted about this
Hmm.
a little bit. It doesn't mean that there aren't other ways to have the same success without just grinding. Like sometimes we grind so much that we forget to think about why we're still doing it. Why are we
Yeah.
still grinding so bad? Why is this so important that we continue to do this? And so I think the success I've been able to have with people is just to give them that opportunity to pause, Vicki, to slow
Yeah.
down for a second and realize all the great stuff that's going on, but then also like, hey, we can work on these things. It's not the end of the world. You can be better. You'll be better for everybody else in your life. It's just you taking that chance and realizing you do have to slow down just for a second. We can pick everything back up and you can always go
Yeah.
back to the way it was. But what if we could do something different?
Yeah. So very true. I love the pause. I coach that as well. And, I learned that early on where I was in an accounting firm, and during tax season, there was always going to be a pal at at my desk. It wasn't, oh, well, clean your desk off and then you can go home. Well, I would never go home.
Yeah, you'd live there.
My desk, it would be always filled. And so it really allowed you to just also turn things off. Like when I got home, I turned things off. You just have to have that time to yourself. The self-care is so important for, I think, entrepreneurs even more than corporate people, because we don't have our offices in our home, and we have clients all around the world.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can work 24/7, but do you take those times to walk and walk my puppy who's just awakened, or just to sit and be quiet with yourself? I'll watch TV for a half an hour so my mind goes to some mindless show so that I can rest my brain.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
those quick turns, just again allow you. I mean, we have so many things hitting us every single day, whether it's in our business, in our families, in our, communities. Like there it's just sometimes a lot of things happening, and we don't take that time just to evaluate what is important. If you're pushing a boulder up a hill and you never stop to just let it roll and see if the hill that you're still trying to push this up makes sense, like maybe
Yeah.
maybe it doesn't. But we're not slowing down enough to just like,
Hmm.
and I'm not saying take a sabbatical or go for years. Like I'm just saying, like, just what if you let it go and let it slide for 20 minutes, like,
Yeah.
and reevaluate, is this still where I'm going? Is this the direction that I want to continue to, fight this battle?
One of the things too, we always have challenges and issues that come up, problems that come up, and we can sit and we can stare at that problem and try to work it out at our desk. But I always tell people, one of the best things I do is I'll just go scrub the floor. And I always get my answers when I do that, or I take a walk, because again, when your brain quiets from that constant, noise, you suddenly can see the bright light, the solutions. So it doesn't
And you
have to be a long time.
and you're also able, Vicky, to go, gosh, this one bad thing, I have 55 others that are going well, right? Like, so
Yes.
sometimes when we're just staring at this nightmare,
Yeah.
it's hard for us to also be aware of what is actually going well. And most business
Mhm.
owners are doing something well, or else they wouldn't still be in business. We're not going to go in and tear everything apart because there's things that
Mhm.
are working. Like, we can identify those and make those better, and then address the things that, from an outside perspective, somebody can see. Because that's the other thing. We just have blinders sometimes because,
Yeah.
and sometimes we put those on purposely. Like, we're not going to touch that over there. If I
I
just
don't want
don't
to
look at
deal with
it,
that.
yeah, then it'll go away on its own. Yeah, it never does.
Oh. So can you share perhaps a success story from an experience that you had that really shows, okay, I'm in the right job. I'm doing the right thing. This was worth me getting up today because of this impact that I had.
Um, it talks about the same thing, but it's kind of from two perspectives, if that's cool, if I use that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most rewarding things I feel that I have been blessed is the people I get to work with. They're just amazing human beings. But when a female entrepreneur, business owner reaches out and just says, you've saved my marriage, you have built a better relationship with my kids, I don't know how I could be any more humbled by that. Like, I've
Yeah.
impacted a family that goes out and is a part of this community. They're seen in a business light with that perfect face and that, and inside they're dying, and
Yeah.
just suffering and alone a lot of time, because us ladies, we don't like to ask for help very much, right? Like, we
Yeah.
can take on,
Right.
we can do it all. And so here they are suffering. And so for someone to say, Heather, because you've showed me that I can balance this and it feels right to my situation, I am now free of these things that I've been carrying for years. And
Mm-hmm.
so to help women specifically has been just such a blessing. um, and then their business actually thrives because they don't
Yeah.
hate it as much, right? They're not so grumpy about it because all the stuff, like, and so
Mm.
not only are they feeling better, but they show up differently. When we're happier, we are going to, of course, show up better. Their team is staying, they're not having as much transition. Like, there was such an impact. And honestly, we didn't tweak 1,000 things. It was one or two major habits that they felt they could
Mm.
do and were obtainable,
Mm.
and that they could see themselves implementing those. One of them was a date night. We just initiated a
Yes.
date night. And she's like, but and her husband is he's a lawyer, travels a lot. I'm like, then don't do a date night. If you guys have a Friday afternoon together, that still counts. It doesn't mean you have to like go out and spend money. Sit at your pool in the backyard if that's what you need to
Yeah.
do, and just be together. And just even that mind shift of like, well, I don't have time at night. All the kids have sports, and then don't do it at night,
Mm-hmm.
right? Find a
Yeah.
different way, and just letting them get over that excuse. And then I would say also, from a different perspective, I think that, same kind of thing, like time management, with some of my people that are leading, up to 25, 30 people, 100 in some cases. How did they share all of that same, like, so it's kind of like a one-on-one, and like, so even just that type of balance in that situation, right? So how can they show up better for their teams when there's so many, and
Yeah.
not have it just be, their whole life is just all of these meetings, because there's been some training and some programming about having meetings. You have to have this meeting and you have to have that meeting, and if you're not doing this, then you're, a terrible leader. And it's like, well, obviously it's not working, so let's not do what everybody else is saying. Let's do what makes sense for you.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
people better than I will ever know them, so tell
Mm-hmm.
me what they need from you. And
Yeah.
just
Ask them.
having that. And as leaders, no, you pour into everybody all the time. I mean,
Mm.
I've given my heart and soul to people, right, to see their successes, but who's pouring into you?
Yeah.
And a lot of the times it's nobody. Your
Yeah.
spouse gets sick of hearing it. Like, so sometimes it's finding that person to help you when you're feeling those overwhelming moments, and they're not even moments anymore. It just feels overwhelming all the time. that's a good uh indicator that it's time for you to look for some
Mm.
sort of assistance.
And it was interesting in all of my career of over 40 years. I never had any formal, well, maybe in Toastmasters, some formal ones, but no, in at work at least, I never had this was in this formal program where you're assigned a mentor and you had this mentor relationship. I always was so blessed to have somebody that connected. And sometimes they were, my office manager, sometimes it was the CIO of the company.
Yeah.
But that person found something in me that I didn't see in myself and chose to share their insights, their compassion, their knowledge, and their heart to make me believe in myself more. And so that's why I do what I do today, because there are not enough people that are doing that. And so, if you can't find somebody in your immediate work that's doing that, you need to seek someone to be a mentor, to be a coach, because it is tough. You do need a sounding board. And sometimes, your spouse, who you might think, well, I have that person, but they aren't walking in your shoes. They haven't maybe done that business. It doesn't help me to talk to corporate people about being an entrepreneur because that doesn't resonate
Align.
with them. Yes, it
Yeah.
doesn't.
Well,
And
and your
so,
spouse is going to keep you safe. So
yeah,
they're not going to push you. They're going to be like, "Oh, I'm
yeah.
so sorry. Like, it sounds painful. Like, I don't want to see you in pain. I don't want to see you crying all the time." Like, their
Mhm.
solution is to get you out of that as soon as possible, right? In where somebody on the outside can, like you said, see what your talents are. Again, you were successful for so many reasons and continue to be successful. So let's build on those strengths,
Mhm.
but then let's also like make sure that you're being the best human that you can possibly be. Because if you're
Mhm.
not, then it does, no matter what kind of face you try to put on every day, people aren't stupid. They're going to see, especially if they've worked with you for a while, they're
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
something's off with this person,
Yeah.
that they've changed.
So there is tons that we can talk about
I
here
know.
today, but we're running out of time. So
I know.
I will definitely have you come back so we can just chat some more about all these things. But what are some strategies that you would recommend to effectively? You talked earlier about time management and prioritizing tasks to minimize the overwhelm. And I think that's where we should end this, just talking, because people are out there and they are either feeling stuck or overwhelmed or, just, should I just quit? And uh, oftentimes, quitting isn't the answer. It's really digging deep and finding how you can go on. So share, what are your strategies for that?
Vicki, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but like my problems follow me. So if I leave that position, it'll be good for a small amount of time, but your habits are going to follow you. And at the end of the day, if you absolutely hate the work that you're doing, the work isn't bringing you any more joy. That's different than feeling overwhelmed and like you're not being successful. Maybe it's a combination of both. I would just say if I can give anyone some like quick tools that they can use right now, um, one of the biggest things is look at your calendar. If it's blank, that's a problem. That
Mm,
means that you're not showing up with intent. And I hear a lot of times, well, I everyone schedules my day. Well, that's not true because you do have a say in what you can do. And so it's also training the people around you what is a fire, because their urgency is not your urgency. And a lot of
mm,
times it can wait. But, this open door policy, and I have to be so available. And I'm like, well, how's that working? It's not. Okay, then it's not your policy to do this. Like if you really want to
mhm,
grow, if you really want to get successful, you have to build a calendar and build a day and start there. Just build the day.
mhm.
If nothing was to change, what would you want it to look like? What would you want to get out of it? What would you want to accomplish? And I would say with that include, I like to call it like a think about your computer ramping up for the day, right? Like it has to load. Do that before you open email. Like ramp up your day. Think about all of the things that
Yeah.
are on that task list. That 10 minutes is going to find you probably an hour to an hour and a half in your day, because now we're showing up with intent of what we want to accomplish. And we're not starting off the day in crisis mode. The minute you open up your email, you're in crisis mode. Like,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
minute you pick up that phone and, that voicemail, or you are, the team member comes in, we're already in crisis mode. So allow yourself 10 minutes to get organized, and then do the same at the end of the day. This is the one a lot of people struggle with, because they are in constant battle all day, and then they just have to leave right at a certain time. And so they're like, I don't have time for that. And I'm like, well, think about if you were to get your thoughts out tonight, and then tomorrow you can just kind of quickly see what else you need to add. Is it worth spending and cutting somebody off 10 minutes early, or not overbooking yourself, than to be ready to be prepared to the next day? Like, I challenge people to do that. And it's so funny when they're like, Heather, it's the best 10 minutes of my day. I get to look at my list and all the stuff I got done, and I get to see how I'm going to build the next day with intent. And I'm like, yeah, isn't that so much better than going, well, I wonder who's planning my day? Like, that's a terrible approach.
Yeah.
It's a failing approach from day one. And the person that feels the failure is you.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
And you leave that day feeling like you didn't do well. And then the next day feels that way. And then the next day feels that way. And that is a habit that's easily broken. It's going to be a mind shift. But those two things I would just absolutely recommend in the scheduling. And then travel. If you are somebody who is taking meetings and you're going to places, account for the travel, because sometimes what we'll do is and we're always late to stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because we've
Yes.
overbooked, and you live in an area where there's traffic, and when there are those moments, like, plan for that time. And best case scenario, you get there early, you get to work on the task list that you have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Worst case, you get there right on time, but you've planned for travel on the back end as well. So if you are finding yourself like running late to everything, account for travel. Like, it's in my schedule. I know how long it takes me to get my daughter to school, pick her up, take her to practice. Because if I don't have those things in there, or go to a luncheon and then I'm at the luncheon. And then the other thing that's great about building the calendar with that much intent, let's say that you look back at the week and you're like, oh my goodness, I have spent 15 hours in the car, 25 hours in the car. Well, maybe we look at hiring a driver, because at least
Then
if you're
you can
spending
drive.
that much time in the car,
You can work.
you can work, and you can make those calls, and you can still feel accomplished. And guess what? Your hourly rate is way more than what it would cost for a driver. Like, let's find a solution. But until we know that, then we're just throwing darts in the dark, right? And so I think and those couple of things about building your calendar is that you get the opportunity to look back at what's happened as well, and where your successes were, and where you'd want to tweak things going forward.
And I love that you talked about the calendar. For me, I know traffic, and so I just plan how much time it's going to take me to get there, worst case scenario, how much time it's going to take me to get home. And I block that big block so that my calendar for doing podcasts and
Oh
speaking
yeah.
is open to people. Here, find a day. Well, if you book me, and sometimes they sneak it in. I don't know how it's happened, but I just get right back to them and say, I don't want to disappoint you, but I already have something scheduled during that time, so let's do a different time. But I also tell people I live by my calendar.
Yep. It's my
So
lifeline, girl. It is my lifeline.
so you cannot just show up or expect that I'm going to be available if you don't give me advance notice. It's just, even my daughter, I've trained my daughter with my two grandboys. You have to send me a calendar invite for Grandparents' Day and the ball games, because I I want to be there, but I also know that if somebody else books something, I have to make that decision of what's
And
more
you'd rather
important.
just know, you'd rather just, and it's funny that you say that because my whole family is like, Heather, check your calendar and see if this date works. And I'm like, okay, thank you. Like, you guys should all be checking your calendars too. Like this, but I also, I think that when you come with anything with intention,
Mm-hmm.
and that the thing about the world we live in now is technology. There is no shortage of how there are apps for everything. Right. And so it's
That's
not
true.
about finding solutions to a management time problem. There are thousands of them out there. It's what will you initiate and what will you actually
And
do
use. Mm-hmm.
and use
Yeah.
constantly, not for a
Mm-hmm.
day, not for, throw it out the window day one. That's my favorite is when I would start working with people and they're like, I've tried that before. I'm like, okay, yeah, tell me how long did you do it for? Well, for like a week. Okay. Like, think about a diet, right? Like, did you get the results you wanted by doing a diet for a week? Of course not. Like,
3 months.
yeah.
Got to do 3 months in anything you do.
That's right. And so it's kind of like and I would just say be open-minded and hearted to the change. People say,
Yeah.
I'm willing to change. And then it comes down to it. And are you, right? Like, are
Yeah.
you really?
Right.
Because,
Right.
it should show up in your day to day and what you're willing to do. So just be open hearted and minded to the things that are out there and that you're capable of using and being great at.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta also stop doing things the way that they've always been done
Yeah.
and try something different.
That's right. Push the envelope. Well, it's just been fabulous chatting with you, and I know that the audience is going to want to connect. So we're going to share, as always, my screen. If you're just listening, you can go to my YouTube channel, Vicki Noethling. So please subscribe, and you can get the show notes with everything that I'm going to share, as well as my findyourleadershipconfidence.com. So the website is heatherferrari.com. On TikTok, you can find her at Heather_Ferrari. Instagram is _Heather Ferrari, and LinkedIn is Heather M. Ferrari. I'll turn it over to Heather to talk to you about the call to action for today.
Awesome. Vicki, thank you again so much. What an honor to just chat with you for this short amount of time. I do hope that we can connect soon again because it's been an absolute blast. My call to action today is if you've been inspired, if you go onto my TikTok, if you go onto my Instagram, I do try to put 1 or 2 videos out a day specifically for, if you were inspired by the time management, if you're inspired by leadership things, please jump on there. And if you feel like you really got something out of it, share it with somebody else that's in the same type of role or situation, help inspire them. So if you can just share my TikTok videos, share my, Instagram ones, they're both the same, but if you can get those out, that would be great. I just want to influence people to be inspired to continue to go and fight because we need business owners, Vicki. We need people that are bringing things to the community. There's such an impact when a business closes. And if we can just get ahead of that now, if they watch a video and they implement it and it changes their life, then everybody wins.
Mm-hmm. So Heather, thank you so much for being an awesome guest. Lovely conversation we've had. Very, very many tips have been shared, and hopefully folks have taken note of those. As always, I remind everyone that life is a journey, and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling, signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.